All right. Good morning. This is Linda just coming on live, and I am here wearing my intentional life hat today. Oh, here we go. So this is Linda recording live. I'm here with Alyssa Alexander. I am here with my intentional life hat, and I'm most excited to be here with Alyssa talking all things menopause and how to stay healthy and navigate through these challenging times. I'll be 59 years old in a month, and so I've certainly been traveling this perimenopause, menopause journey. And in my work with Pilates and with coaching, I'm navigating many women who are having different experiences of menopause. It is a time of a lot of change, but also a really beautiful, empowering time in our life. And I've got some great questions for Alyssa, but before I start, I just want to give a little introduction, a little background about Alyssa. Alyssa is a experienced Ayurvedic health coach, a yoga teacher, and speaker with over 25 years of experience in the wellness industry. Alyssa specializes in empowering women to break through the barriers that prevent them from being their best. I love that. So her approach is designed to help women feel strong and vibrant, full of energy. Who doesn't want more energy? That's the number one complaint I hear from people is they're like, I'm so tired. If I only had more energy. So that's energy in both body and mind. And over the years, Alyssa has led numerous life-changing and transformational workshops. So Alyssa and I are kindred spirits. She's an avid runner and completed over 30 marathons. That's incredible, including multiple Boston marathons. Wow, I bow to you. That is a challenging marathon and requires commitment. Also New York City and Chicago. Enjoys long walks with her husband and their energetic dog, Sadie. Alyssa is also creative and enjoys knitting, crocheting, and sewing in her free time. So let's jump in, Alyssa. I would love to hear about how you help women in midlife who are dealing with hormonal struggles and health challenges. How did you come to be doing this?
Well, I started out as a personal trainer over 25 years ago, and I had a love of fitness that predates that. So I've always been in love with fitness. And as I got older, I started to see, and even in that time, I added different modalities. I started teaching yoga. I became a runner. I um, also coached some runners periodically. So I have lots of different modalities, and through yoga, I learned about Ayurveda, which is a very holistic way of taking care of yourself. And I started to realize that as we get older, it's much harder for a lot of us to maintain our health or to feel good in our bodies or feel as good as we did when we were younger, because those things that we did in our 20s and 30s don't always translate to feeling good in our 40s, 50s, or beyond. So I started to basically take all those different experiences, the life knowledge, the educational knowledge of those modalities, and I combined them into a way of helping women naturally, to give them a holistic way to take care of themselves. Because I know from caring for my own health that, again, the things I did in my 20s and 30s just don't cut it. And it was really that love of fitness that grew into a love of health. So it's not just, how good you look in your tank top or your bathing suit, but it's how do you feel in your body. And that's my big emphasis with helping women is helping them to feel better in their bodies naturally.
Yeah, yeah, accepting who we are and accepting the stages of life. As every stage of life has its gifts and its challenges, and it makes us who we are today. And the beautiful wisdom that comes as we enter our 50s and 60s and 70s. And it's true, it really does change. In our 20s, how we want to look and feel is different. For me, I'm all about longevity. So when I'm choosing exercise programs, I'm dialing back on that high intensity cardio. I still love it. I still love being out on my bike and running, but I know that I need to do more strength training and just do things differently for my body so it feels good. So how can it be difficult for women to prioritize, or it can, sorry, be difficult for women to prioritize their health? Tell me, what do you notice with women that you work with, what they're struggling with most, and perhaps what they need to know when it comes to making their health a priority?
Well, I think one of the biggest things I notice with women in this age group, and it's a very unique time because some women have had their children later, so they might be dealing with younger kids or kids in junior high or high school, and some had their kids early. I had my son very early, and so my son is grown, and so I have a different set of things. But in addition to kids, we have aging parents, so there are all different kinds of priorities pulling on our time. And unfortunately, for many women, we've been taught, oh, put everybody else first, which is fantastic. It's so important to be a caring, giving person, but you have to care and give to yourself first. And I hear from so many women, I don't have time for this. Like I don't have time for myself. But ultimately, we've all heard this expression, you can't pour from an empty vessel. And I've worked with women who were on, both ends of those spectrum with kids and with aging parents. And in fact, I had one client who really had a hard time prioritizing herself, even though she was in a coaching program with me. And she got to the point where her mother was dealing with an illness and she kept putting herself on the back burner. And it got to the point where she actually ended up having an emergency room visit because all that time that she was saying no to herself, and saying yes to all the other things, it added up. And, when we take that little bit of time, and it doesn't have to be a huge amount of time, but when we prioritize ourselves and give ourselves a little bit of time on a daily basis, when we prioritize our eating and our moving our bodies, then we're able to do all those things. We're able to, you know, drive the carpool or go back and forth to the hospital to visit somebody. And, sometimes we think, no, I have, my day is too full that I can't carve out those minutes. But that's one of the things I really help women with is figuring out, okay, how can I make it work for my life so that I don't also end up needing somebody to care for me?
Yeah, and that is so, I mean, this is real. This is real. It is the sandwich generation where we have children as well as many have elderly parents, aging parents that they're caring for, and fitting yourself in. It is critical. That asking for support, putting structure in place, getting other people involved is so important. This is where a coach is valuable because I think we can't sometimes see through our own minutia. It's like, I'm busy, there's a lot going on. But if we don't take care of our health and find something sustainable,
Hmm.
right? What are we doing on a daily basis? Those peace points, making sure we get enough rest, choosing what I put in my body is this loving to me. And you can get stronger and healthier on just maybe 9 minutes of exercise in the morning and some stretching and breathing in the evening. You're right, it doesn't take long, but having someone support you and help you and guide you is so critical, because if we are living from that place of I'm stressed, I'm exhausted, it is hard to think clearly. So great the work that you're doing. So what can with women in this age group, I hear I'm exhausted. Brain fog is massive. The majority of the ladies that run my studio are in their 50s, and they're all walking around with what they call menno brain. And I'm thinking, oh, this isn't good. So, what is there any little tips that you can share with us today that would support women? And I just want to add another caveat to this, because a lot of times when we are not feeling our best, we're doing a lot to try and, like, I'm going to go see the naturopath. I'm going to go and see the chiropractor. I'm going to go and do this, and I'm on these vitamins, and we start to almost panic because we don't feel well. The Ayurvedic way of working is very grounding and calming and centering. What types of tips can you give women who are just feeling like, I don't know what to do? Where can they start? What can they do?
Well, first of all, I wanted to go back to one thing that you said, and it really, I think you hit the nail on the head, which was asking for support. That's one of the biggest keys because it's knowing that you can reach out to a coach or a friend, but also within our families, because sometimes we think we have to do it all on our own. And that includes all the chores, all the duties. And so we think if I don't do it right, if I don't do it, it's not going to get done right. So we think it has to be our way. But then I'm glad you mentioned as far as Ayurveda being a very balanced modality, and it's all about creating that balance within yourself, which is a little bit different for all of us. But one of the first and most important tools that we have is our breath. So coming back to the breath is so key when we have those moments of feeling like we have too much going on. We feel like, so you might be in the middle of your day. Somebody might be watching this today and maybe they're thinking, oh, you know what, this is great advice, but I needed this a week ago because today is the most hectic day that I have and I don't know how I'm going to get through it. So in those instances, what I often suggest to my clients is, okay, before you change activity, so maybe you're driving to an appointment later, before you go into that appointment, just sit and pause. You might put your hands on your chest, but just noticing your breath, giving yourself, even if it's just 3 breaths, to notice, check in, how am I feeling? Where are my shoulders? Are they up here? Can I relax them down? And having those touch points, and like I said, usually between changing activities, that's a great time to do it because you're rushing into this next thing. You've got that appointment that maybe you're not looking forward to. Maybe there's a difficult conversation, and having that moment to, okay, I want to walk into this appointment with intentionality. How can I do that? What is my intention for this, next meeting? And of course, with Ayurveda, there's so many other tools that we have in our toolbox and things that I share with my clients. But I think that is really one of the simplest ones that we can use. And sometimes I'll tell my clients set an alarm on your phone. So maybe you don't have a bunch of meetings today, but you have a bunch of work to do, a bunch of busy things to do. So have a timer set. And when that timer goes off, okay, pause and check in. And other things that you might do with that timer, I actually keep, and they're down on the floor next to me. I have some dumbbells down there. I'll show them to you. So I have some dumbbells. I have a resistance band. So you could be, maybe you have a Zoom call that you don't have to be on video for, and you want to be present and listen, but you might take your dumbbells and do some overhead presses or some bicep curls. And there are different ways that you can give yourself those little treats because you mentioned we don't always need that 60-minute workout or that 30-minute workout to make a difference. But sometimes having those little workout snacks are a great way to give yourself a little bit of movement, some strength, because as you mentioned, strength becomes vital as we get older because it's not just about physical strength, like opening the mayonnaise jar, but it's also about maintaining our muscle mass, helping our metabolism stay going. And then also, if we're losing our muscle mass, then that can impact so many other things, including bone density. So there are key reasons why we want to be focusing on strength training as we, especially as women, are getting older.
Beautiful. So just to kind of, you've said a lot of beautiful gold nuggets here. So we talked about the power of breath and coming back into the body, getting out of the head and coming into the body. And the breath is our access to that. And as few as 3 or 4 breaths, just slow, deep breaths, just coming and feeling the breathing is often enough to ground us. And so I do breath work before I get out of bed, while I'm waiting for the water to boil to make my morning cup of java. I have some breathing exercises that I do. And like you say, those transition points are really great reminders. Moving our body throughout the day is as valuable as a workout session. And all these are hormone producing, right? So in menopause, it's our hormones that are changing that's causing the hot flashes and causing the brain fog. So when we can be doing activities that really work on the chemistry of the body, which is breath and movement, and just to kind of circle it back or complete it here, food. Are there any top supplements that you think women should be taking, or top food? What are some just real quick takeaways we can do around nutrition?
Well, so supplements is a very personal thing. So I tend to not want to make a blanket statement about supplements. There are different ones that you can take as a woman that are going to help as far as changes in estrogen. But really, the bottom line is whole foods, plant based. Those, getting the fiber. We tend to, I think it's too simple of an answer, but food is really medicine. So when we can really prioritize good whole foods, our bodies reap the rewards, and that includes hormonally. Because when we're eating out of whack, when we're eating a lot of things out of bags, when we're eating a lot of processed foods, those things add up into our in our bodies and in how we feel, including those hot flashes, the brain fog, lack of energy. So if we can really think about what are those things, and then when we go in the grocery store, it's usually the things on the outside perimeter of the grocery store. Those are usually our best bet.
Yeah, beautiful. And so, I talk about the seven doctors, Dr. Sun, Dr. Movement, Dr. Nutrition, um, Dr. Nature, these sorts of things. And really caring for ourselves is very simple. And what can get in the way is like we talked about, stressors, work, busy with family, busy with kids. And so this is where having a community of people to help us stay in the conversation, help us stay grounded, because doing the right things is critical, but also stopping what I call the leaky bucket. Is I know a lot of women in their 50s, 60s, 70s have used different coping strategies like maybe alcohol or various other substances, too much sugar, those sorts of things. So can you just touch on some things that perhaps, as much as doing the right thing, what types of behaviors should we be aware of that don't serve us, that are perhaps habits of this time?
Well, I don't know if I'm answering your question exactly, but when you were talking about, the alcohol and things like that, I also think about retail therapies. So we actually have different mechanisms that maybe at one point served us, and we might actually think they're still serving us, and they still serve a purpose to self-medicate whatever it is we're going through. Sometimes it's overeating. We might be feeling something emotionally that we can't or don't want to address, or maybe we feel empty, and we try to fill that. So we might fill that with food, we might fill that with alcohol, and we might fill that with shopping. And especially now that there's so much ease and so much access to Amazon and every other online retailer out there, where it's that dopamine hit of, oh, I ordered something. So now we feel good for a little while. And when it shows up, we feel really good. But it's not addressing what the real situation is. It's not going back and addressing the root symptom of what we're dealing with. So whether it's something emotionally, something physical, it's, we create these mechanisms or these coping mechanisms because they do serve us. They make us feel good in the moment.
Yeah. So beautiful. And just again, we opened with this, and I think it's a lovely thing to start to wind this up with. Is it is a beautiful time of life, and if you're having challenges with this stage, there's a lot going on. That to join a community is so important. So tell me, Alyssa, how can people find you if they're looking for some support or have some questions?
Well, I'll give you all the links so we can put them in the notes below in the comments below. But I have my website, which is alisaxander.com, and I'll spell that. It's ALISSAXANDER.com. I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, I'm on TikTok too. Um, And so you can find me at all those places. Also, YouTube as well. So I'm hanging out on YouTube as well. But really, the invitation that I wanted to share is if somebody feels like what I've said has resonated and they want to feel better in their body naturally, I'd like to offer your your group, your audience, a free midlife vitality breakthrough session. So it's a 30-minute session where we can chat about their unique hurdles and obstacles and look at one small thing that they can do to start feeling better in their body. And it goes back to what you mentioned earlier about creating sustainable habits. So it's not about changing everything overnight to feel better. It's really about, what one thing can I start doing today that can impact how I feel tomorrow? Because a lot of times we think we have to run that marathon or we have to climb the mountain all in one go, but it's really about the smaller steps. It's about that first step that we can take to get us there. It might not sound sexy or exciting, but it really starts with one step and then the step after that.
Yeah, and even that 1 degree shift, if there's something that you add in that you haven't been doing, change is inevitable. If you're not doing really any form of movement, any kind of movement will create change. And
Exactly.
and so it's, I do a lot of mountain climbing, and when I look at the peak of the mountain, sometimes it feels overwhelming. I know where I'm going, and then I come back to that just one step, two step, breathe, come back into the moment. One step, two step, breathe. And before I know it, I look up, I'm like, wow, I'm halfway there now, and three-quarters there. So is there anything else you would like to share that that you haven't said yet, or that you think our audience would enjoy or benefit from?
Well, the one thing that I did want to share is that I think it all starts with mindset. Because if you're of the mindset that I'm stuck here, you're going to be stuck there. But if you believe that there is the possibility of feeling the way that you want, even if it's just, like, maybe I could, it starts with that belief. Because for all the marathons that I've done, everything that I've done athletically, which I never considered myself an athlete as a younger girl, but it all started with, a glimmer of a possibility, just holding out, even when I wasn't really sure, but I had somebody else saying to me, I think you can do this. And I think that's where the support comes in too. When you have somebody who can be by your side and say, you know what, you may not see this as probable, but I see that you could do this. I see that you have this in you. And starting there, because you have to have the identity. And that's what I did. I had to create the identity of a runner, of a marathoner, to do any of those things. And it translates to our health. So if you see yourself as a unfit, unhealthy person, and then you try and do different diets and you might lose weight or you might, create some healthy habits for a little while and then they fall by the wayside, that's just going to continue. But if you can start to see yourself as that healthier, more vibrant older woman, rocking whatever age you're at, because the number really doesn't matter. It's how you feel that matters. But if you can start seeing yourself as that healthier person, you're going to start making decisions as that healthier person. You're going to start, you know, choosing the healthier option over the less healthier option more often than not. And that's going to, create that snowball effect. So it does start with mindset.
I love that. It starts with the I am, right? I'm
Yeah,
healthy, vibrant, or I'm healthy and vibrant in a strong, fit body. Yeah.
beautiful.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. And we will put the links below so that if anyone wants to reach out to you, or maybe join your group on Facebook, it's Vibrant Health. Tell me what it is again. I just go to
It's
it.
the Vibrant Women Collective.
Beautiful. And you had a beautiful quote up there. I think it was yesterday. It was progress over perfection. And I thought that was very profound.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. And we will chat later.
Thanks for having me here, Linda. I appreciate it.
Welcome.